Getting married early gives you the liberty to do some of these things, okay? Especially even in finances. I don't want a person that will get married like I brought you out from the from the married clay and I said to you.
I got married early and I did not start to make money on time, but now I have 2 kids, I have 2 boys, and I still have that time to do the things that I wanted to do. Those ambition, those goals, all of those plans. I have the luxury of time to go back to do those things because I still have time.
I get to avoid a lot of drama. Yeah. There's a lot of drama that comes with singleness. Like, how can I, dress to please, the outsiders? There was a time that I could not leave my house without drawing my eyelash, or, without putting an eye pencil, or, just because you want to present yourself in a way that, people will be able to, admire you, you'll be able to gain people's attention, and then there is a drama of, then you date a guy, then you break up, and honestly, I don't know how we're able to survive that. And that's why I always pray for my unmarried friends that God, help them to get, their own partner.
So, what are the disadvantages or the cons of early marriage, getting married early? It may not be from your own experience because, of course, now you're still in the honeymoon phase and you forever be in the honeymoon phase. That's
Amen.
what we hope for and pray for. So, what are the cons that you think are associated with early marriage, like the disadvantages for you in your own opinion?
I think the first con for me, okay, I don't know if some people will consider it a con, but when it happened to me, I knew that, okay. Well, it's okay, so let me just start the way it happened. So there was a day I went to the market, okay, and we just got married. I think we're just a week or two. We're a week or two married, and I went to the market to get food stuff, and on my way back, I actually noticed that there was this car that was following me. I didn't. In Nigeria, you have to think twice when cars are following you, but I just kept moving because it was during the day, and then eventually the guy came in front, and then he parked beside me, and he was like, "Hey, beautiful girl, sorry, I saw you somewhere, and I just liked you. Can I have your number?" And my normal self now, when I was single, like I first of all gauged the guy. Okay, he looks responsible, he looks this and that, but I realized that that was the day it finally hit me. Like, you're not a baby girl anymore. Like you are not a baby girl anymore. You are now a married woman. Literally, like since it's like I used to say that I don't know what's wrong with Abuja men, because for a long time you'll be single, you'll be passing, expecting them to notice you. They won't notice you. Since the day I wore this ring on my finger, like I cannot count how many times that I have been stopped, and I'm like, see trouble. But yeah, anyway, that is just on another side. But yes, just coming to that realization that you are now one with the person. Like, there is no more flirting with the other party. Even when you're single, there are times that you want to flirt, not necessarily because you like the guy or because you want to have anything to do with the guy. Just that, let us just flirt. Let us just, be happy. You can't do that anymore because you are not, as a married woman, you cannot do those stuff anymore. That's just the basic thing. Guys cannot call you and holler at you and say, "Hey, let's hang out." There are some guys that, you just want to hang out with them, chop their money. I'm not encouraging chopping guys' money. What I'm saying is, yes, you want to be chased, you want to be told you're beautiful and stuff like that. But you can't. There's only one person that should tell you those things now. Like, there is no more hanging out, there's no more flirting, there's no more just hanging out with the opposite sex. It's like, even since you got married, like, you cannot even have friends that are male anymore. Luckily, I've never been a person that has a lot of male friends. I can count how many male friends I had before I got married. But there are certain things standard that are expected of you as a married lady. You cannot, talk to you cannot have a male friend. You cannot hang out. You cannot do stuff. I'm not saying that you cannot hang out with your female friends or your pals and stuff like that, but there's just a limit that is set in it. There are certain things, discussions you cannot even engage in anymore and stuff like that. So I think the biggest thing for me is just that the fact that I am no longer a baby girl. I am now, I am now somebody's baby girl. I'm not a general people's baby girl anymore. I am not married. There is no guy chasing you. There is no, let's hang out and buy each other ice cream and stuff like that. No, there is nothing like that anymore. No more dates with other people, no more selecting, no more, and now you're a married woman, so you have to just take it like that. Yeah, so that was a big shock for me. My first 2 weeks of marriage, like just knowing that that's it. No more chasing around, no more playing around, no more hanging out, no more stuff like that. Now you belong to one person.
So that's quite interesting because no more excuse me, sister. You too, no more adjusting yourself.
And you're still young,
Interesting.
and that's the thing. And you see, just like you said, it's like a con because you're still young. You still have that desire for people to want to, tell you you're beautiful, admire you and stuff like that. And so yeah, so those things, just say bye-bye to them.
Yeah, somehow early marriage makes you, well, it's a con for me. It makes you lose your freedom of choice on time, okay? Just as, of course, this is relative. It depends on the person you get married to. But even at that, you lose that freedom to choose, to make your decisions by yourself. Let me put it that way. So for me, I was always, like we said earlier, that I always enjoyed my space. I was independent for the best part of my life, So I've always made my decisions by myself. I didn't need to check in with somebody or ask this person, oh, this is what I'm deciding to do today. There was none of that, Even with my parents, it wasn't like I was checking in with everything, I just made my decisions by myself. So now that you're now married, so you have to decide everything. You have to tell your partner before you make any financial decision, any even career decision. You have to tell your partner everything. Like, you cannot just wake up and decide that, okay, tomorrow I'm going to just sleep all day, I'm not going to do anything, or tomorrow I want to go to the spa, or tomorrow I want those things are even random. You cannot just wake up and decide that, okay, I want to travel to another city, I just want to go and play with my friends and hang out with my friends. And those were the things that I used to do. I could decide to attend weddings. I used to attend weddings anyhow. I used to buy Ashebi. But now I cannot just go ahead and buy Ashebi and just, attend weddings up and down like that. Because I have to tell somebody, especially for me that I didn't even have an income going into marriage. I had to tell him that, okay, my friend is getting married, I need to buy this Ashebi, so you need to give me money for this Ashebi. So it was a big deal for me. Before I would just look for how to find that money, get that Ashebi and go for that wedding. Without even thinking, I can do all that. So the fact that you can't make those spontaneous choices anymore without having to check in with your partner, that was a big deal for me. And I think it's a con because early on you lose your sense of independence. That, and at that time, a lot of young people are still, you still want to make some kind of spontaneous choices, but that is just going to go automatically. There's just this one person that you have to check in. For me, I define marriage as, both of you, two people building a life together. You're building something. So if you are to build a house, if the real house that we build, if the architect has to check in with the contractor has to check in with the electrician, everybody has to work together to make that building a beautiful structure that we see, So I cannot just get up and say I'm traveling. I cannot just get up and say I'm traveling to the US for my master's tomorrow. I have to check in with him. If he doesn't clash with his own plans, we have to come to an agreement. We have to decide. We have to plan. We have to check our financial the financial capacity. Do we have the ability to just allow both of us to do things at a time? So you can't just wake up and make decisions. That's it's just number one for me, especially that Ashebi part. It was a big shocker for me because, like I said,
you must really miss Owambe in China.
I miss Owambe. Honestly, I miss Owambe. In fact, it was a big deal for me because, like I said, I was the first person to get married amongst my friends. So it was only natural for me to want to attend, and we used to attend weddings together back then, So it was a big deal. It was really a big deal. So that was like my first shocker. That's like the first con, I would say. So do you have any other con, any other thing that...
that was also a con for me. Also because like I said, I've always, even since the day I left my mother's house, since I was going for my 100 level, the only time I came back was maybe just to visit and stuff. I've always been independent. Even I stopped staying in the hostel, like in my 100 level or something. I've been staying on my own. So I've always had to make decisions on my own without subjecting it. My money is my money, my time is my time, and stuff like that. But, getting married now, you have to, my money is our money, his money is our money, it's not my time anymore. There are times that I remember a few days ago, I had a lot to do and I had to work overnight. But I also knew that, okay, Oga has gone to work, he will come back, he's going to eat now. Even though he helps out, he does most of his things, but there's always this guilt in your heart as a woman that, you have to do this stuff. So before, if it's just me, I can put a chip or buy chips or something, or take gari or something, and whilst I'm working. But now you can't do those things anymore, especially if you have kids. Now you have to make sure that your kids are fed and stuff like that. So yeah, that and having to subject and having to subject every decision to him, that's that's something I had to learn. But for me, it helped me because I started doing that, and we both started doing that right from when we were dating, so that when we are married, it's just like we are transitioning. So yes, it was hard then. It is still hard now, but it's easier than it was then. Like from the beginning of our relationship, we were transparent with our finances. When money comes in, when money goes out, like we both know. So yeah, so it really helped us when we got into marriage. But yeah, it was a lot of changing for me, especially. It was not something that I don't joke with my money. I don't joke with my time. But yeah, you just have to stop that. So yeah, but another con for me would be friends. Okay. Yes. So yes, I'm not a person that keeps a lot of friends, but I do have I have a very close circle, and these are friends that, we used to share a lot, together. We used to do so much together. We share live, we do vision boards together, we do a lot of things together. But marrying young means that, just like you said, you are most likely the first person to get married amongst your friends, and I am the first person to get married among my friends. So, but after marriage, there are certain things that you want to discuss. There are certain things that happens in your life. You're no longer a single person. Now you have other challenges. You have other, exciting moments that you want to share with your friend. You can't do that anymore. Like I basically can't do that, because you want to be careful also not to appear that, because you don't marry now, everything is my husband. A friend has actually told me that before, like, now everything is my husband. Yeah, and then you don't want them to assume that you're rubbing your married life on their faces because she's married, we are not married. Or there are also certain things that you want to discuss, your private life, that you would rather discuss with someone who is also going through that, because there's nothing they can do to help you, because they are not in that shoe, they've never been in that shoe before. So yeah, so just having to that was a big con for me, because there are certain things that I can discuss, there are certain things that I cannot discuss, okay, with them. That's why like I said, I'm always praying that they all get married very soon. Or then you have to start looking for, friends that you will be able to relate with, that be able to understand what you're going through and stuff like that. And also, it's a different thing when you have someone who is passing through what you're passing through. You are able to share ideas. But if you're telling someone who is not passing through that, the tendency that they will give you an idea that it's going to probably not work for you, or that might ruin your home and stuff like that, is very high. And also the chances that they might not know what to do in that situation is also very high. So it will be like, okay, so what's the essence of me telling you this thing? So yeah, there are just certain things that you cannot discuss, even not just about the bad things, even the good things, even the exciting moment that happened in my marriage. I want to share it with a friend, but I also don't want to appear like this girl that married now, any small thing that married. So yeah, that's a con for me. Of course, there are ways to manage those stuff, but trust me, it's not easy. It's not easy to keep the same friends when you are young, when you marry young and they have not married. Yeah.
I totally agree with you, honestly, especially for me, that I was big on friends. Like, I had a lot of friends. I still have, they are still my friends. So, but, when I got married, it was like I said that, we used to go to weddings together, and immediately I got married, I just had to start to calculate and think, especially because now we have two people's responsibility on one person's income, we had to, calculate a lot. So I couldn't just hop on every wedding and all of that. So it's really a con. I totally agree with you. Trying to balance off your previous relationships, especially with your friends, and your current relationship, which is like very important. It's really a big deal. And you're young. You really don't have that kind of wisdom to manage it. And you also have younger friends
to
who
manage
may
them.
not really understand. As opposed to when you marry at a more, maybe at an older age, you are likely to have more matured friends, and they would get it. Even if they are not married, they would get it. So yes, I love that point. I love that point. And I think another con for me, while you were speaking, is the fact that a personal experience is that I had to be vulnerable. I had to live with somebody that will see me at my everything about me, like the vulnerable part of it. Like, they're going to see me at my best and my worst state, and like I said, I was somebody that I bottled in a lot of emotions, so you may not really know me in depth. Even if we were like talking on the regular, you may not really know what I don't cry in front of people. Most of my friends may not have ever seen me cry, and I cry a lot, but people just as I cry a lot, and a lot of people don't even know that. So having to stay with somebody in the same house, and I just feel like crying, and I don't want to cry in front of that person. This is just so annoying, You just want to vent, and there's some things that it was just so difficult for me to accept the fact that yes, you have a companion. As much as this person will always be there to listen to you, they're also going to be there when you don't want anybody to be around you. There's only one person I have like that. Before marriage, my friend that 24/7. We were not like every day, but we spent the best part of our growing up together. My cousin, just my friend. But even at that, it wasn't that like I'm sleeping, I'm waking up, I'm sleep every minute, every second. You can't just do like the vulnerable aspect of it at that young age. If you're not really, really mature, there's this kind of insecurity that we still deal with at that age, So especially when you're not married, like we've been saying, the right person is very important. So if you're not married to somebody that there's still a little bit of, let me see, I don't want to use the word insincerity, but there's still a little bit of pretense, and you people forming for each other. Depends on the foundation of the relationship anyway. But at that age, a lot of young people are prone to, some kind of feeling of insecurity. So when you're married early, the fact that you have to be vulnerable to somebody could also be a con, So yeah, that's another thing for me.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And also your partner being vulnerable with you also, because I don't know, personally, I grew up with this, I've never seen my dad cry before, okay? So I always grew up with this tendency that men don't cry, men don't have emotions and stuff like that. So when I started dating my husband, I expected him to, I always saw him as this strong man that, doesn't have any vulnerable side and stuff like that. But you also get to see your partner as the person they are, They also have emotions. They also have feelings, I've cried in front of him. He has cried in front of me. We have, so it must be hard for him, especially because, men are always, they always have this font, they are expected to be strong and to be hard and everything. But, having to be like that with the person, because how much can you really hide from the person that you will spend the rest of your life with? So you have to just, get to that point. So that's also one of the cons. So if you're young and you feel like, if you're kind of person that you don't like people to see you in that light, I'm sorry. All right, so the third point for me would be that I know when I was talking about the pros, I talked about you guys growing together and stuff like that. Now that also could be a con, and that's what I'm also going to touch on, because growing together means that number one, it's either that you're not financially there yet, okay? So it means that there might be a lot of sacrifices, a lot of letting go of stuff that maybe when you are young, when you were alone, when you were single, and that goes for both parties, okay, you were able to do, okay? And also growing together means that sometimes especially if both of you are marrying young. For me now, my husband is much more older than I am. Not much more, it's more older than I am. Yeah, so yes, so especially if both of you are, you are both marrying early, the tendency that, you are still learning, you are still getting to, you are still trying to understand each other, you're still trying to understand life in general. So growing together means that you're going to make mistakes together. It means that you're going to, you're going to fight, one another in the aim of understanding each other better. Okay. It means that there will be a lot of, forced maturity. There are things that are required of you as a married person, things that society is requiring of you, things that, you probably, for instance, me and my husband, like, he knows my personality, I know his personality, and he always says that I don't want you to lose yourself because you're trying to fit into the societal idea of who a married woman should be. Okay. But in as much as that is there, there's also this, mentality that we are brought up with to let you understand that as a married woman, there are certain things you cannot do anymore. There are certain way you are supposed to conduct yourself. There are certain things that, and as a young person, the tendency that you're going to make mistakes, the tendency that, you will not get it all at once is very high. So growing together also means that you are both learning, you are both making mistakes, you are both, learning from your mistakes, you are both growing, you are growing in understanding what my role should be as a wife, as a supporter, as an helpmeet. And the husband is also growing to know that, okay, my job goes beyond, just providing for the family. You are going to know, okay, how should I communicate with her? How should she communicate with me? Now, I think this actually even goes across, even when you're marrying older or when you're marrying younger. But when you're married younger, it's different because there's a level of exposure. Even if you're exposed early, like I was, there are certain things that, you could have been more exposed to as you advance in age, that you don't need to start learning in marriage. But then you need to start, when you marry earlier, you need to start relearning, unlearning and relearning new things about your marriage. And there's also the tendency of wanting to bring your single life into marriage. Now, I'm not saying that because you are married now, you have to abandon single. Like I always say that in as much as we can be married and still be individual, like still be ourselves. Because my marriage does not mean that I lose my identity, okay? But there are certain things as a single that was permissible, just like you said, you can go for ashwebi with your friends and stuff like that. Now you have to wear the ashwebi with your husband. There are times you can go to your friend's house and sleep all night and, party if you're a kind of person like that. You probably cannot do those things anymore, especially when, you have kids, for instance, and stuff like that. There are certain things that, you grow to learn, okay, with each other. And that as you are growing, you're also growing to understand your partner, and that can cause friction sometimes. Like I said, there were times in my marriage I felt like, oh, you should know these things, and he's saying that, why we expect me to know? Am I a magician? Do I read minds and stuff like that? And that will cause fight. But then you fight because you are both trying to understand or to get to a common ground, okay, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's one thing that I think growing together has its very good side, yeah, but it also has its bad side, because going together means you are making mistakes together, you are offending each other, you are and you are learning, and that's what is important. Just trying to look at the bigger picture and know that, okay, I'm now married, there are new things that I need to learn, there are new things I need to know, that I may not have been exposed to, that we both need to know from each other. Even if you're exposed to other people's marriages are different. What works for your marriage might not work for my marriage. So I need to figure things out. And marrying young means that there's a lot of mentality that you need to change to be able to, embrace this new life that you have. So yes, I can't go deeper into that, but I'm trusting that you understand what I'm trying to say.
As I mentioned that, I struggled with certain things in the first year of marriage, and what you said just really emphasized on some of the struggles. So and that is the fact that I brought in the mindset, the mentality of singleness into marriage. And like I said, I had a lot of friends, and we used to do a lot of things together. We used to do like we're OGs. So there was a point, I remember there was an incident, I was so angry, and I used to do that silent treatment. I had problem with communicating, so we just had this misunderstanding, and then by morning I was just so angry that I didn't even want to sit in the house. I just took my bag and I just went to my friend's house, and I stayed there. I was gisting. I came back, I didn't even say where I was going to, I just left. I was like, I'm just so pissed, and I just left. I went to my friend, we were gisting, we were just hyping. Evening I came back and everybody was just so angry. That's that's like my first major quarrel or misunderstanding in marriage. And it's just the fact that, first of all, I talked about communication issues, and then, the fact that I was still acting like, I was still single, and I didn't even have any. Your friends will definitely want to, have your back, and then whatever advice they're giving you, whatever they're telling you, it's not like they don't like you, or they hate your marriage, or they hate your partner. It's just the best advice at the time, based on their own level of information and their own level of, they're not in the marriage, they don't understand, they don't know the dynamics of what you're in, and that's most likely the kind of friends you have at the time, compared to when you are much older and you even have a 39-year-old friend who is not married. She won't give you the kind of advice that a 25-year-old would give you, even if both of them are unmarried. So yes, that's one major con, and I love that that's con, because it's very practical, and you're not even into, you see, that's why this wisdom thing is not by how far you have gone in this. It's not by that. And then there's another thing that is a big con for me, and that is the fact that, you are, because you got married young now, you're likely to settle in that new life. And you touched a little bit on it as you were speaking, that you're likely to settle in your new life, that those ambitions, those goals, all those things that you said you're going to do, that, okay, marriage will not stop me from doing them. By the time you get there, there's a tendency for you to relax into that new life, that you just, you know what, and then the society would naturally support you to settle. They will give you reasons to want to settle, especially if you are an ambitious young person. Because I realized that even for me, at a point, and I started having kids, like I had my first child the second year after marriage, planned or unplanned. I had the child the second year of marriage. So it was like, just entered the marriage and I just had a baby and all of that. So, taking care of a child is another thing. Other challenges of marriage is another thing. So you would forget all those goals, all those ambitions, all those hype. And the society would encourage you, because everything they're telling you is for you to, your home is your priority. I'm not saying your home is not a priority, but nobody will tell you that your goals, your vision is a priority. All those things that you're hyping is a priority, especially if you don't have the kind of partner that is really bent on seeing you achieve those dreams. Because I remember there were times I want to settle and be like, is this really important anymore? And you'll be like, what? I better wake up from your sleep. And I say this a lot, even on my channel, that the channel is all about maximizing your potentials. And I remember he was the first person to hammer that in my head, and it was like, you are not even living up to, like, you're not even using half of what you have. I fought with him because of that statement. I thought this person wanted to kill me, wanted to put a lot of pressure on me, but I realized eventually that it's just looking out for your best interest. Like, you have a lot inside you that you're not even using. So with him, I may want to sleep, I may want to relax and all of that, but if you sleep too much, it will wake you up. But then it's still there. If you're not, if you, especially like you said, that if the two people, the both parties are young in the marriage, the other person might not be able to wake you up, because they're probably still dealing with their own issues as well, internal issues, but in my own case, it was able to wake me up and say, you know what, there were things you wanted to do. And even it's because of those things that I was attracted in the first place, because of those things. So you can't come and be sleeping now. You have to wake up. What are you doing? But the fact that the fact still remains that you are likely to settle into your new life. You become so comfortable that you forget all of those things that matters to you in the first place. So in the later part of the marriage, you now realize that, what have I been doing? And then you begin to resent yourself. Meanwhile, you were the one that settled. You just had a partner that was not pushy or did not really motivate you that much. So it's not the person's fault. You were not just self-motivated enough to go on with those dreams. But it's just what it is. We are just likely to settle, relax in our new life, and the society will support you. They will back you to to relax and all that. Yeah, so
I totally agree with that. I mean, even being new to the whole thing, there are certain things that you want to pursue, or there are certain things that I felt like, okay, I should start pursuing at this stage of my life. And the truth is, it's not like my partner is asking me not to pursue those things, or is against it, or is asking me to make sacrifices. It's just like you feel like this is something I'm supposed to do. Why? Because of societal expectations of you. For instance, you want to study, you want to further your education. So you're not necessarily saying, okay, I won't further it. But maybe your dream was to travel out to go and, have your master's. And you're just thinking, and automatically, you just start thinking, okay, can I do it in Nigeria? What are the best schools in Nigeria that I can do it? It's just like an automatic thing that, okay, I'm not alone now. Now I have to look for what is convenient for both of us. So you are not pursuing what you really want. You are now settling for what is convenient. Yeah, I think that's really, really true. One last thing that I wanted to add that came to mind, whilst you were talking about, your point is that, you see, there's also the tendency, when you get married earlier, okay, there's a tendency that you'll be forced to grow up really quickly. Yes. As a young person, you want to live life, you want to enjoy life, you want to be a baby girl and stuff like that. But when you get married, the tendency that you'll be forced to grow up very quickly is very, very high. In short, that's it. You'll be forced to take up some responsibilities. You'll be forced to, to let go of some things that are not really priorities. You'll be forced to, your understanding has to be expanded. For instance, now you get married, or maybe you guys are planning on, having kids 2 years later. And, one night during the ministry, you guys did a mistake and, kids come. When it comes, what will you do? You have to learn. You have to, come up with, you just have to have that mom instinct. Nobody is born with a mom instinct from heaven. But the moment you give birth, the moment child comes, that's a responsibility that you have to now adjust yourself, adjust your standard, adjust your priorities, adjust everything so that you are able to accommodate that child. There'll be times that, for God forbid, your husband lost the job, you have to take up responsibility for both parties. God forbid, somebody take ill, you have to become the doctor in the house, you have to nurse the person. I remember in our 2 months after marriage, I took seriously ill, and who is there to take care of me? It's my husband. So he had to juggle both work and also I literally could not even stand up from the bed or do anything, and he was there to take care of me, to help me out, to do stuff like that. And imagine if he was the one who was in the bed, I'll have to take up that responsibility. So these are things that I don't have to worry about when I was single. It's when I'm sick that I can worry about. But now I have to take up the role of the doctor when it's needed. I have to take up the role of a cook when it's needed. I have to take up the role of the cleaner when it's needed, and vice versa. Not just about the woman, even the man too. Okay, so yeah, you are forced to grow up. You are forced to learn, and I think that's why a lot of young married people, have issues with their old friends, because not old friends, with their friends when they are single friends. Okay, because they don't understand that now you have a lot on you. You have a lot on your plate. You have a lot you have to be worried about. You are forced to be in this position where you are now, like, you are grown, you are wiser. Not because marriage makes you. Actually, marriage does make you wiser. Don't even let me try to downplay it. It does make you wiser. It does make you grow up. It does make you think beyond yourself. Someone said when you are grown is when you start to consider other people before yourself. When you think of people before yourself, that's when you know that you're actually, mature. You start to think of people before yourself. You start to think, I don't know how to put this, but yes, you are forced to grow. You are forced to expand, in your thinking. Yeah. So yes, that's also a con that I'm getting to really understand. Yeah.
Junior, the examples you're giving is like you use a mirror. What do they call it? Is it to check the early years, like the first year? The first year was, oh my God, it was something else.
Trust me.
So the example you gave about, when your partner is ill, you're supposed to take care of it. When I was single, I don't know how to take care of sick people. Like I don't like sick people. If somebody is sick beside me, I can't use the person's cutlery. I can't use the person's cup. I can't, so when my husband got ill, I was like, what kind of life is, can't you just get up? And when I'm ill, I don't like to wait for somebody to come and take care of me, because I don't like to take care of, so somehow I know that I should take care of myself. So when I was ill, I didn't know how to relax and somebody should come at when I newly gave birth, I didn't know how to just rest and take. There was just eventually I was still vexing that, okay, you didn't do much, but you were getting up to do everything. If you had sat down, somebody would want to do it, and all of those things. And nobody tells you, honestly,
Yeah.
even no matter how much you look at that, nobody tells you until you get there. So those are the things that, early marriages does to you. You have to level up fast, like quick. If you are a slow learner, if you're if the way you if your growth speed is on 20%,
It
by the time you get back,
increases.
it will be on 80%. And it could
Yeah.
be a lot of pressure for people who are not really people who don't have the capacity for it. It could be like too much pressure on
Yeah.
you to just meet up, to just grow and all of that. So yeah,
True.
it's really something else. So I think we've given a lot of
Yeah.
pros
And
and
cons.
cons. Yeah. So I think it's a balanced conversation. It's a balanced conversation. So we're not necessarily telling anybody out there to go out, and once you find a young person that, or once you find somebody who is interested in you, wants to get married to you, you should just go ahead and jump on the marriage. At the same time, we're not saying if you find somebody, you should say, oh, I'm still young, and you should just stay back and decide that no, I don't want to lose my freedom. No, this is a very balanced conversation, and I love that. So I hope that anyone out there who is watching and you're young and you're considering early marriage, I think we've been able to share enough information that can help you make a very good decision, a very good choice. And most importantly, you have to pray about it.
Yeah.
You have to seek the will of God.
Yes.
It is not about what you hear on YouTube. This is
Yeah.
our own personal experience, right? We are just sharing from our own personal experiences just to help you. And if you're a married person who maybe got married early, or even if you didn't get married early, please leave your thoughts, your opinion, share your experience with us in the comment section. And please guys, don't forget to go to Victoria's channel to watch the first part of this conversation. This conversation is even a small portion of what we did in the first part.
Yeah.
We went in depth from the genesis on her channel. So please go ahead to her channel, watch the video. Don't forget to share your thoughts, give the video a thumbs up, because you're going to enjoy it. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. So as you just click on the video, click like, subscribe, turn on your bell notification, and leave your comment. It's very important. We want to hear from you guys as well. We want to learn from you as well. We are still growing in this marriage thing. So yeah, that's that about that. And thank you so much, Victoria, for coming on the channel. I'm so glad to have you. I'm so excited. You can see now, just shining teeth. I'm just laughing. It was an interesting conversation. Yes, I learned even from your few months of experience. I learned something from you, and I'm sure that it was just an interesting conversation, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. And I know you will still come again. We have more topics to discuss, right? Don't you feel the same?
I'm looking forward to it.
That'll be all for today's video. Thank you so much for your time, for spending your time with us. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. You are amazing, and I love you all. Bye.